So maybe we'll just go through how this whole planter works first of all. So some of you guys that don't know how an air planter works, we can go through that. This planter is ground driven, first of all. And I think pretty much all of them are. So this tire, you got to keep the same tire size to what your book's charts recommend. So this here chain goes up to this shaft. And then right here, these sets of chains will drive your, how much seed gets applied. So this chain here will go up into here. There's all sorts of different sprockets you can use to set this for different seed populations. And then I'll show you like on the side of the planter. Here's a chart, and this is in the book too. There's a better version, but you got your driver and your driven, and that's just basically the one sprocket would be the one that pulls the other, which would be your driven. So you got your driver and your driven, and then the number of cogs on each sprocket. So the size of the sprockets will determine the speed of how fast the shaft runs, which will determine your population seed per acre. And then you got your row spacing. So this one's set up at 38 inches, so that's your general reference there. Stay with me now on that. I got my twine here that we just pulled that hose out with. So anyway, so then you got a drum, and this drum has got actually 8 rows of holes, and 4 of the rows are taped up with duct tape. There used to be some rubber bands over this, but they were just cracked up, so then duct tape works. But we only need 4 because we only have 4 rows on this planter. So this will be the drum that turns, and inside here there's seed, and it's kind of clear. You may not see in the camera, but the seed level's about right there. And then this hopper is full of seed, and I believe I can put 15 to 20 bags in here of 80,000 kernel bags. Usually that's what's in a bag, 80,000 kernels. They count the seeds in the corn. There's a little chute that comes down into this drum and allows it only to be at that height. And then this drum turns, and then you got these rubber wheels that when they come up against the holes, it will release the seed through the tubes. Now there's pressure inside this. So here's my pressure gauge, which is ran by this PTO pump. So this pump is put on 1000 PTO, and it's secured to the drawbar, so it has to stay steady there. And then you got your in and your out hose, and that drives, it actually looks like a big fan, but it's kind of like a pump back there that creates the air pressure. And usually I want it between 9 and 10. Now I got a monitor to this planter. Maybe we'll show you that quick. I don't put it on anymore because I think my electrical connections, a lot of it worked when I bought this. Now I've bought this planter somewhere around 2000 or 2001. I actually got a pretty good deal on it. It was on a consignment sale. It was an older farmer selling out, had a bunch of his things at this consignment sale. Anyway, I had a nice talk with him when I was able to buy it. They gave me the name of the guy that used to own it, so I kind of got the ideas of what this planter was about. So anyway, you got this monitor, and there's a screen on here, and you got all these different. Now you got to realize this is the 80s, for instance. So today this thing would probably be a fraction. It'd probably be a whole screen. You basically get on and off, and then you can press which button you want. So it'll show you the plant population. It'll show you if one of the openers are plugged. If you're out of seed, the hopper level, which is how much seed's left in the hopper, so it tells you how far you can go. It does not tell you anything about the fertilizer. That's all mechanical, and they got to use sight to see all that. But I think between all this wiring and these connections and stuff, some of this wasn't really telling me anything that I could trust anymore. There's like beepers going off telling me it ain't planting, and it is. And so I just kind of gave up using it, and probably very expensive to get that thing fixed or updated or whatever they got to do there. So when those wheels come up against that side of the drum, let's see if we can see underneath here. We got 4 of these hoses. They're kind of like, almost look like underground water lines, that real stiff stuff. And there's 4 of them that go in. It'll blow the seed through that hole or that pipe, and it'll go down into our opener here, down behind the press wheel. So right here, and in this little box will be one of the sensors, which is supposed to be wired up to that monitor, which in case that got plugged, but it'll basically be counting the kernels as they're flying by, more or less, but it'll come out down here. So what I do and I figured out a way to get around all this electrical stuff, is when I raise up the planter, I can see a little bit of wind or dust flying right underneath the holes from the dirt or something, and then I can see them all from the tractor seat if I just stop briefly to look, and then I know my planter's not plugged. Because if you stop and it jerks backwards maybe an inch or two, dirt could pack up into your opener. It has happened, especially when you got really wet conditions and things like that. So you have to be always aware of that, because the last thing you want is one row plugged and maybe by the road someplace. It just does not look good. You can't like fix it. There's no going back over it and correcting that. That's something that you just got to live with until the next year. So anyway, that's how that works. So the seed is only getting pushed by air. And actually, I think, I don't know, compared to those John Deeres where everything's mechanical, I want to think this is fairly accurate. A lot of the companies all went to air now, I want to think. I think it's a cheaper way to push seed instead of having all these moving parts. But the best part is all my seed is in this hopper. This thing it's sealed. So we got these little clips here, and our air comes into this screen, and so there's pressure inside here. And then you see down here, this little device is our hopper level. There's a little eye there and there, so when the seed gets below that, it will tell you that. You pretty much know just how much seed you need. We don't have that big of an operation. But the best part, compared to like the John Deere like Aaron's got, instead of watching the seed level in all these individual boxes, it's all in one. And the neat part about this planter, and I learned this again from people that had them, there was 2 different guys I know that had them, is you can see this from the tractor seat, the seed in this drum. And as long as you can see seed right there, you know it's still planting. And you can visually, if you can look close enough, you can see the seeds, the tip of them down through these little holes too. So you know you're planting, and you know you have seed yet. And I can virtually get this planter to plant it down to the point where I got one small handful of seed left before it starts skipping. It will plant it right down to nothing. With all the individual boxes, you're going to be carrying a little seed from one box to another and trying to even them out and to get it right down to nothing. It's a little more that way, so not a bad system either. It's just something different. So that's how that works. And then the fertilizer boxes, same as other companies. There's an auger in here. And then there's 3 sprockets here on the driven, and then on the drive sprocket, again, that's all ran off the ground driven stuff. And and there's a spring there. So I'm able to switch this. I do have to pull a pin or a bolt. I got a small bolt here I got to pull out and slide this gang of sprockets over to change my speed of the auger if I want to adjust my fertilizer rate, which today we're going to turn it down, being that I'm going on to no-till sod, which I do have 1 ton left, which we're just going to stretch it a little further to go through that field. We're not going to need that much there anyway, just to get it used up, since that's what we have left. Right now it's on my top notch because I didn't have quite as much in the bottom, so I wanted to be sure I used up the one for down there. And after you've done this long enough, you just got a real good feel about just where it needs to be set and how far it's going to go, how much seed to put in. I mean, that's the best part. Once you learn it, it's really not too bad. You just got to make notes in your books for next year, so it just kind of refreshes your memory. So anyway, I'll show you that auger. I have some extra ones we picked up from the salvage yard when we were there a couple years back. And there's one for each side. And then initially these are able to be changed out. Now these are all rusty from the fertilizer, but there's keys right here. It's just a square shaft with holes in it. The flighting on these may be different on some of them, so it's going to change the way the rate is. So you change the speed, you can change the auger. There's all kinds of different ways to go about that. And then you have markers. They are set up so that when I set the planter down, one side or the other is going to come down. Right now they're in the lock position for road travel. There's a pin. This pin gets pulled out, so these markers are hanging away a little bit. And so one side will come down, and then when I get to the end of the row and raise up the planter and turn around, somehow through the hydraulic system, the valves activate the other side to go down. So when I drop it. For instance, when I'm starting a field, I may have to set it down and raise it back up again to get the right marker to come down, depending on which direction you're going. And once I get all my end rows in, and you just start from one side of the field and start going over, then you can just, you don't have to necessarily raise it back up to get the right side to come down. So there you go. And then you got these packing wheels, which these adjustments I just made adjust these things to how deep they allow the coulters to go, which are inside here, the opener. See how that is? Then you got two coulters down there. One's right up against the other, so that cuts your hole. Seed flops down through here, and these guys shut it. And then this is a little packer wheel. This will just roll behind, and he is on a spring too. There's a spring here, and then there's one here. So everything kind of works together, and then there's a lot of hinging up in here. Somebody's going to probably ask what these boxes are in the back. Now, before the seed was as good as it is today, and before they've had all these different traits added to the seed, there was insecticide you could put in those to kill like rootworm, and there's a bunch of, it depends on where you were in the country, which bug you were trying to control, but there's a bunch of different products, and it was some very expensive stuff. It was not fun to work with. It almost looked like powdered sugar. And you kind of sprinkled it on, which we haven't done any of that. I maybe used it 1 year, but then that went down through these, and there's settings that I don't believe we'll ever need those again. But that's all on here, and to me it's kind of okay that it's on there. Adds a little bit of weight, and it's something for me to help get the corn up in. I usually stack the seed bags on top of that. We're not going to take them off. They're not in anybody's way. So there you go, and this is a real basic design. So if we were going to have this planter fixed up for no-till, you would have I don't know if they would have a longer pole. I've seen a guy add on to his pole, and there'd be another gang of coulters out front here. And they would just line up with your seed openers. So you'd have 4 of those big coulters out front to cut the hole, to cut through the corn stalks and all the stuff that isn't tilled, and then your seed openers will do the finishing touches back there. And then these are your fertilizer openers, these here wheels, which aren't nearly as critical if something would get plugged in that too. But and you got your little hoses and that's just all gravity flow that way. And then you have what they call trash whippers, and there's many different versions of these. These just happen to be on here, and I think it was something somebody added on later. That there's some of them are like a spider shaped, and I tried to use them one time on some stuff. I thought maybe they'd help me some, and they're designed so if there was like if you had a lot of rocks, it maybe pushed a rock out of the way, or a hard clump of dirt or something, so that the seed trench doesn't have that bigger object in there. It pushes it to the side. That's kind of more of a simple way of making that work. So here is my depth with this dial. So I'm going to move that to 10. And it's going to put the seed deeper for the no-till. See, so I set it at that number 6 on the tilled fields. And once in a while I might have to put it a little deeper. Anyway, very easy to set that. These are the closers. What we're going to have to do here is I got to pull out that little cotter pin and push these down further so that they put more pressure to close the 2 adjustments I make. I got to put my seed depth up to 10, and then I got to put this in the bottom hole. So that's how on all 4 of them. So that's how I switch it from regular to no-till for me anyway. And we've been doing it this way for a long time, so it's been working.